Christina Universe Citizen presents New Era Religion, Episode 4, March 15, 2022. Awareness of Allspace filling. Relevant links will be provided. You can read the entire transcript on my website, New Era Religion Online. It is exciting to learn of something we had not thought was relevant to our anticipatory design science realities before, and especially during these turbulent times as the reactionary political personalities in our world continue to assume the PRJWBCS, that's politics, religion, justice, war, belief complex schemes, is the necessary foothold to reclaim any sense of stability. It is where the W factor resumes those relatively insane positions that are never-ending enmity states and seem always to be dependent on the universal communications process anyway. The universal communications process is everywhere. The news media, journalists, serious fact-finding interest in the truth of the underway matters whittles away precious time, while irrationally impervious to recognizing what positions our humanity, humans of Universe Eternal Omniscient Mind, YOM, in the least obvious scenarios where we really cannot see the forest for the trees. Least obviously, the articulations are ever reenacted. We are continuously least informed about a different coordinate system that by conceptual degree, correlating to the degrees of freedom, is a referential reality basis that will produce different results than the historical PRJWBCS. This is whenever and wherever the individual's omnicomprehensive mind becomes intellectually involved as a conscious contributor to the universal communications process. It is the metaphysical intellect that functions as a cosmic conceiver and human event perceiver, as a function of universe. It can be by hoping to reduce the tolerance magnitudes of the residual inaccuracies of observation and articulation. Awareness of such potential requires a recognizable field that in generalized principle is eternally self-regenerative, referentially to the all-space-filling cosmic integrity that consciousness evolution correlates to energy always being conserved, never created by any human nor ever lost in universe. Too few humans on Earth are aware of Allspace filling as the eternally self-regenerative scenario universe of cosmic integrity continues to evolve. This means referring to a conceptual set of in-time local relationships to which our intelligent species, humans of a mind, may someday consciously tune in. It is what Bucky Fuller's Synergetic 780.13 means by tune ability. Therefore, either prime or complex frequency polyhedra may interagglomerate with one another. This is by closest packingly filling all space. And so, knowing of the tetrahedra and octahedra, and also the rhombic dodecahedron and the vector equilibrium are decidedly more relevant to all space-filling conceptualities than the icosahedron, or where the human mind has absolutely no awareness of these energetic, synergetic evolution environments. Allspace filling excludes the icosahedron because it is only face associated to constitute what turns out to be a large octahedral structure. In that case, metaphysical intellect as a function of universe will have to generalize the geometrical topological model from an icosahedron to an octahedral structure. As of August 28, 1973, which is shown in Synergetics 950.10, there are 8 fundamental Allspace fillers, self-packing, that our contemporary humanity ought to explore, especially and most consciously during the reading-writing process. The content that is being produced in the reading-writing process concerns conceptualities that, well, may be correlative to the most accurate thought-language information to be disseminated throughout the universal communications process. Presently, we see no evidence of the generalized content across the spectrum of the online communications between observation and articulation, despite the Internet's accommodation platforms and websites for informing self and others about what is thus far known. Thus far, and until we write about it with the intention of disclosing the discernible eventuality by billions of humans across the world, are the 8 fundamental Allspace fillers of omnicomprehensive, omnirational conceptualities that humans of a mind can refer, systemic thoughts, anticipatory designs, science realities, even though it may seem irrelevant compared to the network of relative insanity that preoccupies our interest, capturing our attention for minutes and hours of a day online. What we do not yet realize is that energy and synergy require structural integrity, as does our individual systemic thought, even though it is the invisible patterning integrity of the underlying order where everything comes out rationally if known in thought and language, thought and action. Geometers and computer technologists may or might not refer to these 8 fundamental Allspace fillers. Conceptuality of polyhedra is independent of size, then the human mind does not need to be convinced by the false premises as a referential reality basis that for the most part derives from and is propagated in the womb of permitted ignorance to be emulated in any conceivable form for controlling the communications process, which technically means controlling the freedoms that are inherently integral to the conceptuality of the minimum structural system of universe, and these 8 fundamental Allspace fillers that may have been relevant to metaphysical generalized conceptioning fields of thought and meta-stability from the beginning of universe 13.8 billion years ago. Metaphysical, metaphysics, meta, using the prefix meta from Greek with, across, or after, but in present tense, now conceptioning metaphysical mind as a function of Yom, Universe Eternal Omniscient Mind, is liberated from the onerous womb of permitted ignorance, which is easily emulated simply by iterating and reiterating a relatively meaningless reality that does not refer to the universe's eternal regenerative integrity, but settles time and time again for the false premises claims to be the voice of God, when the mindsets have yet to differentiate something from nothing, nor shows awareness of the intertransforming evolution environment wherewith and wherein the all-space filling geometries accommodate the transitions from variously complex parameters that are not politics, religion, justice, war, the belief complex schemes that perpetuate the relative insanities that violate what can be recognized as the inherently inviolable integrity of the individual. Quite then, collateral damage as anyone's lifetime is destroyed by destructive unconcern historically justifies and rationalizes the devaluation of the corpses in war-torn fields. And in the interpersonal relationships where ending the other person's life rationalizes the emotional necessity for the length of time it actually requires for life to have vanished, where only the chemistries remain. Here is the list of the 8 fundamental Allspace fillers. The cube, the rhombic dodecahedron, Lord Kelvin's tetrachydecahedron, Keith Critchlow's snub-corner tetrahedron, the truncated octahedron, the tri-rectangular tetrahedron, the tetragonal dysphenoid, the irregular tetrahedron, which are the mites that we can conceptualize as quantum modules. If our humanity were limited only to the PRJWBCS, politics, religion, justice, war, belief complex schemes, how could we possibly alter the course of our consciously coordinated thought, language, and forwardly directed time, mindful of the modifications of angle and frequencies? The only 2 possible covariables operative in all universe design are modification of angle and frequency, Bucky reminds us. This is relatively new on the world stage, but has always been the case. Modifications are only accomplished in forward-directed time. Despite the backward-looking glances and habitual tendency to rely on histories of the PRJWBCS contextual parameters, consciousness of these all-space-filling geometries may seem furthest from the way we have been taught to observe and react to events in our world. And yet, as we familiarize our mind, our consciousness evolution, metaphysical generalized conception field of thought with these geometries, it soon becomes relatively essential to recognize the eternal patterning integrity of the energetic synergetic systems of universe that are intended for further discoveries of the most economic way of behaving relative to unity and self in universe. The words that describe the geometries are actually fun to articulate, like tetrachydecahedron, 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 even though its 14 faces seem to be utterly alien, seemingly having nothing whatsoever to do with anticipatory thought language. Tetrachydecahedron, you're the one, the only one. Tetrachydecahedron, you're the one for me. In as strange a correlation, neither is imagination's use of the word alien to describe an extraterrestrial species that is not human but intrigues a sense of wonderment about life forms out there that comes into our world, hopefully as friendly entities. Wherever and whatever can be said of aliens will always involve knowledge of omni-intertangency, since it evidences closest sphere packing, which we have recently learned is the inherent isotropic vector matrices, finitely defined, omnirational volumetric ratios of the only concave octahedra and concave vector equilibria that is the discrete domaining, the interbetweenness of closest packed sphere interspaces. Are they interstitial? To be continued in New Era Religion Episode 5. Please leave relevant comments. Reading them is at my discretion. Thank you.